and welcome to the Backpacking Podcast. I am JK, and next to me, as always, is the ever-present, ever-wonderful Jeremiah Jerome Stringer.
I'm alive.
Am I allowed to say your middle name?
Yeah, if you want to. That's what my friends call me.
Well, it's on your Facebook page, so...
J-Rome.
J-Rome.
Represent.
That's right. So last week, we had a really fun episode going on.
Yeah.
And we kind of switched back to what we were supposed to talk about, but I want to come back to it. But before we do that, I got some really cool news to talk about.
Dude, hit me with it.
Since we recorded our last podcast,
Yeah.
I have lost 14 pounds.
Dude, congratulations.
Seriously. Yeah, man. Yeah, 14 pounds.
Wow.
I wonder if that, put that up there for a second.
You got to watch it on YouTube.
Can we meet in the middle? Oh, there it is.
Oh, we got some overlap.
It's whatever works. But yeah, so I lost 14 pounds. The wife and I both decided we needed to do something because the coronavirus has been bad for us.
Yeah,
so,
it's really easy, especially if you're working from home. You can eat whatever you want, whenever you want.
Yeah, and so so we have worked our tails off, and we started doing something called Noom. It focuses more on like the psychology of weight loss.
How do you spell that?
Noom.
Is this a commercial? Are they paying me for this?
No.
No,
but I will say I'm paying
weight loss.
I'm paying them to help me lose weight. So, but it's a pretty cool little project. It's a program that I'm in. So, been doing that. And, I mean, a lot of that's gonna be water weight because that's how weight loss works.
That's okay though.
But yeah. So we've just started eating healthier. We've got our kids eating healthier. You know, all of that. And so yeah, after talking last time about taking better care of your body and all that, I kind of hit home. So. The wife and I have decided that's more important to us than it was before.
Yeah, your quality of life goes up so much if you like feel good all day.
Exactly. So let's talk about the topic for today.
What is it?
Well, wait, but there's one other thing we need to talk about here.
Okay.
There's one other thing we need to talk about.
Uh-oh. What do we need to talk about?
Okay, so you went on your trip to Michigan.
Yeah.
You got to see your buddies.
Yeah, the Long Trail buddies.
You got to go hang out with UGQ. You can see Chad Hogton.
Chad Hogton.
He said it. He said it live, so from now on, he's Chad Hogton. I don't care what he says. So you got to hang out with him.
Yeah.
And you made the comment that you were probably going to have to shave the beard when you came home. So is there any kind of verdict on what's going on with the beard?
Well, first, I don't think I said we can bring back the record, but I don't think I said probably we'll have to.
Okay.
We'll retract. But Bridget asked me on the way home from Michigan, hey, you've done it. You showed him your beard. Are you going to shave it when you get back? And I was like, I don't know. This is a long commitment. Like we're closing in on a year. And I just got a haircut a few days ago and they trimmed my beard. So I don't look Amish right now. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I just don't want my beard to look like that.
The Amish make great food. If you watched Bryce Newbold's most recent video, he actually bought a steak and some Amish noodles for his stupid ultralight trip.
Yeah, Amish do all kinds of great stuff.
Amish make great food.
Yeah, and they're also great at framing houses too. Where I live,
incredible at framing houses.
Yeah, and making pole barns. Great, but I just don't. I want my beard to look a different style, which is fine. But long story short, it's not going to be shaved today. But if we do shave it, if anybody actually cares, then I will try to film at least something silly and stupid.
Well, here's my thoughts on it. And understand, they're just my thoughts, so it doesn't really mean anything in the world, right?
Yeah.
My thoughts are, if you're going to shave it, let me know. I'll come down here and we will live stream that sucker.
Here comes the production crew.
I'm just saying, we could live stream that thing. Yeah, that could be a lot of fun.
I'll let you know.
It could be our first live stream.
Yeah, we never live streamed before.
So it could be our first live stream.
Could be fun.
And I've just recently learned how to do all that stuff, so I'm kind of excited about trying it at some point. And you shaving your beard might be the best opportunity.
I've let it grow for like 6 months before or so, and then shaved it. And I like to do I'll do big mutton chops with a giant goatee, and then I'll do a little goatee, just a mustache, sideburns, whatever.
Yeah.
Try all the different ones out.
Reverse mohawk that thing down the middle.
No, that sounds awful. Reverse mohawk with the worst haircut. The worst of all haircuts.
It could look good, maybe.
Yeah. So
Probably
we'll
not,
see.
Probably not.
No, it'll probably look awful on me. It might look good on you.
Oh, nothing looks good on me. That's just like I realized a long time ago my wife married me for my personality. So it's all good. It's all good.
Hey, man, I'm only here because of the looks for you.
Oh, I'm blushing right now.
Yeah,
On the screen.
personality. That's only an inch deep right there.
Yeah.
I like the face.
Let's move on. Okay, so last week we started talking about public lands.
Yeah.
And we talked about, I think it started out because I might have made a comment about, do you think that trails are in better shape now because of COVID happening? People weren't hiking as much. The foot traffic wasn't as bad. And I need to make a comment on a word I used. I said the phrase feet traffic.
Feet traffic.
That's not a real thing.
Foot traffic, isn't
Foot traffic is a thing. Feet traffic, not a thing. I said that. I'm just going to come out and say I said it. It was wrong. And
official here.
it's horrible, horrible English on my part.
That's okay, man. People can't, half the time they can't understand me.
Oh, that's true. That's
Yeah.
true. Because we're all linguistic racist.
Yes, you are.
So
It's true.
yeah, it's
But
bad.
that's okay. I'll talk to you about public lands today. What do you want to know?
Well, let's talk a little bit about the importance of them. Let's talk about why we need to take care of them. I'll just let you kind of go first.
Okay. So, first of all, as far as I know, of course, I'm from Kentucky, different types of public lands, right?
Right.
So, there's BLM, right? Is that what it's called?
Mhm.
And that's basically where somebody's kind of managing the land that the government owns and caring for it. And then in Kentucky, the big one we have is Dinglebu National Forest. And I would say the number one problem we have is like people, it's just so common. They grew up in it that they don't think anything about it, and they literally just like dump their trash. Like
Oh, yeah.
if you've done the Sheltoe, certain sections, not even that it gets a lot of foot traffic or as you say, feet traffic. You just like people literally just back their vehicle up and then throw out all their trash into the woods. It
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's really frustrating.
So if there's one thing I could change here, it would be like, hey, let's stop dumping our trash in the woods. Like reduce, reuse, recycle, and what you have to throw away, they bury in landfills, which still isn't a great solution.
No, it's not.
There's not a great solution anyway, because like your only choices are if you actually had to dispose of something, putting it in a landfill, burying it, and then it takes like thousands or millions of years to decompose. It's not getting oxygen.
Right.
And your other one is incinerating, and then you're just putting stuff into the atmosphere.
Yeah.
So maybe we all just need to buy those tiny houses and have like one little bathroom trash can, and the only thing that you can throw in there is stuff that has to be thrown away. Everything else you have to reuse. Is that too hippie?
Yeah. No. I will tell you this though. You were talking about the trash thing, and I know for me the trash. Did you hear that noise that just made when I moved the microphone?
Sounds good, man.
It's all springy. The thing I noticed was when I was hiking the Sheltoe and I was going through the area near Cumberland Falls.
Yeah, big touristy location.
I mean, that was a mess.
Dude, there's kids' cars, there's
Yeah.
camping chairs. Been there for years too.
Blew my mind. The stuff. I mean, I did a video hiking to that area. It was actually my first ever solo hike. I hiked from an area called Yamacraw up to Cumberland Falls over 2 days.
It's a beautiful hike.
It's about 32 miles, I think, for 2 days, and hiked up through there. And I remember getting just a couple miles from Lake Cumberland, and all of a sudden you started seeing the trash. I mean, like full-size paint cans, like the ones for your house.
Yeah,
Like I don't know what you're painting out in the woods.
nothing blazes.
Yeah. And then you've got black, like the black buckets you see at like hardware stores and stuff.
Yeah,
the
everywhere.
5-gallon ones. You got, like you said, there were like little kids' cars.
Yeah.
Like there was a little pink Hot Wheels car, like a kid can actually ride on.
Yeah, it's like the one with the big batteries.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could buy at Walmart for like $100, $200, and you get in and press. It's only got the 2 pedals.
Yeah,
For little
and-
kids.
And I was also seeing, there was like a campsite with a fire pit and chairs left there.
Yeah, those chairs have been there. Like I grew up here.
Yeah.
I've been here. I don't know why I haven't carried them out. They're all broken down. It's like nobody's going to use it.
But it's obvious somebody was there because there was a bunch of new beer cans in where the fire was. Instead of packing their beer cans out with them, they just throw them on the ground and leave them out there.
Yeah, I don't know who they are, but they don't care. But like I said, I think it's cultural. Like, we can go and pick up all the trash, and I would advocate highly for, doing like a community, and they do one every year, like cleaning up the area. Like, they clean up the road from like where you turn to go to Cumberland Falls all the way down, and they like bring in buses of people, and they all pick up, gallons and gallons of trash and take these and dispose of them. But the problem doesn't go away until you actually educate people and have a shift in the culture, because then all you're doing is just cleaning up somebody's trash. It's for eternity.
Yeah.
So I think the only thing that we can do is have civil discourse. Like what we're doing right now. We may not be doing much, just having a conversation about it.
Right.
But maybe it will spark something in some people, and it leads to greater things.
Well, I know whenever I go out backpacking, I always try to make a point of bringing an extra gallon Ziploc bag.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole point of that gallon Ziploc bag is to pick up trash.
Yeah.
And I try and pack out with me. If I see trash laying on the trail or something, I try and pick that up, throw it in that Ziploc bag, and take it with me.
Yeah.
That way, I'm at least doing my part. Like, that one piece of trash may not be huge in the grand scheme of things, but if there's several hundred or even 1,000 people out doing the exact same thing, then you're going to really clean up the area really nicely. And we're going to make this land that we love so much, which is why we do this podcast, because we love being on that land.
Yeah.
We make it much more pleasant. We're treating it better, and we're making it better for future generations too, because I've got 2 kids and I want them to enjoy the backcountry as much as I do.
Sure. Yeah. And I don't know, man. It's really about the culture, and my little part is I'll do the same thing, but I try to make it a point, even if there's not like excess trash or you see it laying around, but I'll try to pick up at least one piece of trash every day that I'm on trail. And if everybody would just pick up one, like I got a friend that every single can that we see, every single like candy wrapper, anything like that, she always picks it up. Like she'll be like, all right, I'm dropping my backpack. I'm going over this hill and getting that can.
Right.
And I'm like, wow, that's very inspiring, But if everybody would just do a little tiny piece, or just like not throw your trash.
There's the big one.
Yeah.
Just don't throw your trash on the ground.
That would solve it.
That to me, it's mind-boggling to me that somebody would think that just leaving your trash is okay. Well, it's different, I think, if you've got paper trash and you're going to burn it in the campfire.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I don't want you burning plastic in the campfire because
the carcinogens.
Yeah, that's not good for anybody, and that's going to hurt people beyond where that campfire is.
Yeah.
But I just don't leave your trash everywhere. I mean, my parents, when they raised me, they didn't want me to leave my room a mess. They didn't want, when I walked out of the living room, to leave all my junk in the living room when I played there. And I'm trying to teach that to my kids right now. I was like, so I'm trying to figure out, what are parents teaching kids?
Yeah.
like just, it's okay. When you get done eating, just leave all your crap out. Somebody else will take care of it.
Yeah. I'm not your mom.
Yeah. I don't, I'm not adopting any of you people.
But I don't want to just sit and complain. I like to at least propose solutions. So
right.
What we need to do, and we each do our part, is have conversations. But you can't be demeaning either. Like, some people are so virtue signaling, and you have to build relationships.
We like to call those people Karen.
You just dated the podcast episode.
People, don't be Karen.
Don't be a Karen. Let me talk to your manager.
Don't be Karen.
Yeah. So you have to just have normal conversations like us, and you can't just like walk up and yell at somebody if they throw like something on the ground. Have a conversation.
You don't yell at him. You just hit him in the face.
Yeah, full fist to face.
Full fist to a face. That's what we do. That's why I like taking Mr. Backpacking with Jason, sir.
He asked me.
He's a pit fighter, man. That guy can do it.
He said, "Why does he always call me that?" That's what he asked me. I was in Colorado with him, and he was like, "Man, he always calls me Jason Wall, and nobody knows whose channel that is." He's like, "I'm backpacking with Jason."
I haven't called him Jason. Well, I usually now say Jason from Backpacking with Jason.
That's good. Yeah.
So, but that's his name.
That is, yeah.
That's actually why I changed my backpacking channel's name to John Kelly, because I got tired of being called JK is hiking.
I still think it's a good name, but John Kelly is even better.
That's my actual name. So
Yeah.
it's just weird when somebody walks up to you and goes, "Hey, JK is hiking," and I'm like, "That's not my name."
Yeah, but now you have that, like, you have the online personality.
I know.
Oh,
So,
man.
but now people say, "Hey, John Kelly,"
Yeah, and it's normal.
and it's normal, and I like
Yeah.
it. I like it. So,
It is sometimes a little bit weird though. Like,
do people call you Jeremiah Stringer Hikes?
no,
Hi, Mr. Hikes. How you doing, Mr. Hikes?
they say Jeremiah, but like sometimes people like not very often. I mean, I'm not like even a touch close to famous, nothing like that. I'm just
Right.
like a normal guy, just like literally everybody else in this world. Right? There's nothing special about me. I'm just doing my job, having a good time.
Yeah.
Right? But sometimes somebody will like know you, you don't know them, and you know they've watched you like on YouTube, and so it feels like they know you. I think maybe we talked to Darwin about this, but it's a little bit weird. I don't remember if he talked about it on air, but
Well, he did. He said on the more, at least on the more popular trails, he can't walk very far without people wanting to talk to him.
it's got to be frustrating.
Yeah, because
You
you're
gotta
out
wear-
there to hike. You're not out there to like, and it's nothing against. It's exciting that people would recognize you and want to
Yeah.
talk to you. But it's like, man, I've got to get these miles in today, and I've got to get to such and such campsite or such and such shelter,
Yeah.
and nobody's letting me hike.
Well, he's doing like 30 miles,
Oh,
you
he's
know,
doing a
as a
ton of
normal
miles.
day. Yeah. So you can imagine stopping. Anyway, that's off the cuff there.
But the reason I brought that up is Jason's a pit fighter. Like he's trained in mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
So I like backpacking with him because then he'll hit people in the face if they throw their trash on the ground.
Yeah. You know who's really trained? Karate Josh.
Karate, I've heard that.
Oh my gosh. That guy's built like an ox.
Yeah, and I heard he can go when it comes to hiking.
Dude, so we're in Colorado. I try not to get too off topic, but whatever. It's our podcast, man. I'm going to talk about whatever I want. I mean, sorry, but I want to have a good time. So anyway, we were in Colorado, and we flew from Kentucky. We actually flew from Cincinnati Airport.
Which is in Kentucky.
It is in Kentucky. Yeah, Jason was saying, we're getting screwed on this, man. This is in Kentucky. Like, you're not even across the river into Ohio, and you're flying out. But anyway, I digress.
I don't even know why that's a big deal, but okay.
I think it's a big deal because all the money that's coming from there, if that's going to Ohio.
It's not. It's going to Kentucky.
Okay, good. Because they call it like Northern Kentucky Cincinnati Airport. So I figured
Yeah.
they split it.
That's because nobody knows. Like Northern Kentucky could be half the state.
It's like
so-
Florence. What do you mean, Florence? Y'all?
yeah. Okay,
No, that's confusing.
that's a story for another day. I got a story for another day about Florence.
We'll get to it. We'll
Yeah.
get to it.
Yeah.
We got plenty of time.
Oh yeah.
Well, anyway, so we were in Colorado, and where I live is about 900 feet, like where you're sitting right now,
Right.
above sea level. And we flew from Cincinnati Airport, CVG, to Chicago, had a layover, and then flew to Denver. And
Okay.
they call Denver the Mile High City because it's a little above 5,000 feet, right? And that's, 5,280 miles or feet is a mile. So we went from 1,000 feet to roughly 5,000. We got a rental car and drove to the trailhead about an hour away from it. And then all of a sudden we were at like 11,000 feet, 10,000 feet, something like that. And then we spent the night and we got up the next day and drove actually to the trailhead and met up with Serial Photog. And then just started hiking. Like the day before, I was at 1,000 feet, and all of a sudden, the next day, I'm at 12,200 feet, or 11,500 feet, actually starting the hike. And it is so hard. Like I walk, 100 feet, 50 feet,
Right.
and then you're walking uphill, and all of a sudden, you're out of breath, and you're like, "Wait, I'm not in terrible shape. Like maybe not the best shape of my life.
You're
but
definitely not in John Kelly shape.
no, you're in good shape, man. You look great."
That is a lie.
It's
But I
truth.
appreciate it.
The moneymakers up here,
I
man.
appreciate it.
So anyway, we keep hiking, and Karate Josh, his channel name is Josh Harrod Outdoors,
Right.
and he's hiking and he's not stopping, and you're just like, bro, how in the world? Like the air feels so thin, it's like breathing through a coffee straw. And then you're dealing with altitude sickness and like nausea,
Yep.
and you're like, it's like being half drunk from the time
Yeah.
you like start hiking to the time you start descending elevation. Your
Yeah.
brain's all cloudy, your muscles aren't working great.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't feel like myself.
You have to walk slow. You
Yeah,
have
I
no
did,
choice.
man.
You have to walk slow. Devin Ashby said the same thing about him when he went to Utah. Like when he went down
karate?
to Utah. Yeah.
No stop.
He said the guy was a beast.
Yeah.
He said he just never stopped. So, yeah, maybe we can just get him to come with us, and then he can punch people in the face when they
Dude.
throw trash on the ground.
I'm not messing with that guy. He's a black belt
I know.
in, I think, Muay Thai, which
Probably.
that's a striking sport.
Oh yeah, he's brutal, dude.
Yeah.
He's brutal. But back to the topic we were talking about before, the whole
Yeah, sure.
trash thing, which turned into mixed martial arts and not being able to breathe.
Dude, you
in
never
high
know where it's
elevation.
going.
Yeah, it's unscripted. That's kind of our thing. But it's there aren't many things that make me angry. I'll just start by saying that there's not many things that make me angry.
Mm-hmm.
But when I get out into the woods and I just see trash dumped, like not even like, okay, it's a wrapper. Okay, I'll pick that up. I'm not.
Yeah.
But when I see like an entire bag full of stuff dumped and the bag that it was in sitting next to it,
Yeah.
man, I'm seeing red because it frustrates me as
why
a
would-
backpacker to go out and want to spend time in the backcountry, and I'm seeing it being so grossly misused
Sure.
and abused and treated poorly. And here's the thing too. If we want our local governments to pour more money into the backcountry and into our public lands, they don't want to do it at a place where it looks like a trash dump.
Yeah, it's
Because
harder.
They don't want people from out of state coming to that.
Yeah.
And so it actually, when we're doing that, we're actually working against ourselves. When we
Yeah.
put that trash out there, we're working against ourselves, and we're making it even harder for our local governments to be like, yeah, we want to spend our money on that dung heap over there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It just makes it harder.
It does. It really, really does.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is. But
I think for me, I think one of the biggest deals for me is the fact that people do it with no remorse.
it's like they take their kitchen trash and just throw it out of the back of the truck.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really disappointing. And so, yeah, so there's my soapbox for the day.
I'll try to
There's
get off
my
of it,
soapbox.
too.
I got to get off it because I could get real preachy real quick, and I don't want to do that. But I will say this. I love seeing people like Darwin, like Devin, some other guys that we know who really care about public lands, and they care about them in such a way that they put their money where their mouth is.
Yeah, they're actually giving back, especially Darwin with doing his. People don't know. They think that like you get a bunch of subscribers on YouTube, you start making a bunch of money, you're getting sponsorships and deals and stuff. But in reality, most of the time, the people who are successful are really passionate about what they're doing, and they're not doing it so that they can make a living off of it. That's like a bonus. Like it doesn't matter if you're going to film something or not. If you love backpacking, you're going to go out and do it, and you're going to help try to, preserve that environment.
Right.
And so Darwin, with his documentary, he is into the Great Southwest, right?
Yeah. Into the Great Southwest.
Yeah. And
Have you watched it yet?
Yeah, I bought it and
Oh,
I
it's
watched
so
it.
good.
It was fantastic.
So good.
And people, like, if they listen to the podcast, I don't know how often he's talked about this, but in ours, he talked about where the money's going. And
Yeah.
it's not like he made $1 million off of this thing that he poured so much time into. He's given a ton of it back, and he's investing it into actually making more so that he can keep giving money. People don't understand how underfunded these public lands are.
Oh, yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
people, you may have heard me say this before, but the governing bodies who are in charge of these lands, it's not like it's a collective they that are out to destroy these lands. It just so happens that the bigger government gets, the more powerful it wants to become and the more money it wants to make. And that's just part of the machine. Like, that's been the history of government since it existed 10,000 years ago.
And it's one of the things that has made America such a great place to live, but it can also go too far, and it can be something that can make it a hard place to live as well.
Well, when you get that machine going, it's nothing personal against any specific person.
Not.
That's just the reality of the way that the system works.
Right.
And when that happens, what happens is the governing body in charge of the land wants to make money from the land. And so what they're going to do is they're going to find a way to do that. And the way that we do that in the U.S. a lot of times is logging, and they will log out an area. And my buddy who, he has a forestry degree, so I assume he knows what he's talking about. He worked in forestry for years. He's like, dude, there's nothing wrong with taking a section of Daniel Boone National Forest and logging it out and replanting, and in your lifetime, it'll be back.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah, and they do controlled burns so that, you're preserving, you're getting rid of all the debris that's natural on the ground so the forest doesn't burn it. They're doing a lot of great things, and there's nothing wrong with logging. I mean, you wouldn't have a bed to lay on.
Yeah, you wouldn't have a house to live in.
Yeah.
You've got to have some kind of logging.
So that's fine, right? That's a renewable resource, but you have to do it right.
Right.
And it's so severely underfunded that in some places it's logged out, it's strip mined, and then it is just a desert, desolate. The vegetation's not there. You can't enjoy it, and future generations aren't going to have it. So we don't have enough people. I think sometimes DNR or like Fish and Wildlife, sometimes they get a bad rap. But imagine trying to do your job, except it's supposed to be like a 500 employee job, and there's 3 of you.
And that's more common than people realize.
Oh, it's so bad.
That's way more common than people realize. I had a friend whose dad worked in Fish and Wildlife, and his job, it was like he would get up at 5 o'clock, take off at 5:30 to be at work at 6, and he'd get off work at 5. And so it's 11 hours. And he was doing it 5 days a week. And then there's no, it's like with teaching, you work big hours, but you get those summers where you don't have to work, which is the nice bonus there. But imagine doing that with no time off, really. And I think he had 2 weeks of vacation. And so he was working his tail off constantly, and but getting really not paid well.
It'll burn you out. It's not that, money for me is not the biggest motivator.
Never should be, yeah.
If you're doing something just for the money, that's fine, but sometimes that's like kind of psychopath, sociopath type deal. Really, if you want to have a fulfilling life, you need to find your passions and follow those, no matter, as long as you can actually, live on the money you're making. But you have to have at least enough money that it motivates you and you have vacation time and you're not getting burned out. And it sounds like that, that's, you'll hear that story a million times. You know?
You're right.
And I think some people think that, wildlife officers, they're just out to find people so they can write them a ticket and make the state more money.
Now, I can promise you, state workers have no desire to give you a ticket.
No, there is certain things we need to do. There's nothing wrong with if you want to kill a deer and you're okay with that, that's perfectly fine with me as long as you're doing it responsible. And, I deer hunt. It's
right.
To me, it gives you a connection. But there's nothing wrong with me having to, if I'm going to go hunt public lands, buying tags to hunt on it, because somebody has to maintain the land. And then especially if they're taking that money and putting it back toward making sure the deer population is going to be there for me to hunt in the future so that I can feed my family.
Right.
The wildlife officer isn't out there to just be like, this person didn't buy a deer tag. Oh, yeah, they're going to jail today.
No.
Like, they're not being out there being malicious.
No, it's definitely. I've met a lot of people who do that work. I've met a lot of game wardens and all that, and if anything, they're some of the nicest people I've ever met.
Yeah, they're passionate about the outdoors.
Yeah, they really just want everything to be taken care of.
Yeah,
and they don't want anybody cheating.
Yeah,
I mean, that's really what it comes down to. I mean, it's not so much that they're trying to bust you. It's just they don't want you working the system either, because other people aren't. And it's not right for other people to do things the legal way and you just to do it the way you feel like doing and get away with it. It's really, that's not the way the system should work. It should work out that we're all doing our part to do it the right way. And I think it comes back to taking care of public lands is you do it the right way. You do it the right way, and they're going to be here for a long time because of it.
Yeah. It's just ironic to me that we have a service that, like the National Forest Service, where it's just become part of the system where their job is to build roads to inaccessible places. And I'm not saying this like to any specific employees, it's just part of the system.
Right.
But their job is to build roads to inaccessible places so you can log it out to make money. I don't know. There's just something that feels dirty about it, you know?
Yeah. Well, and I think for people who are outdoors people, we just don't like it when people mess with the outdoors.
Yeah.
If we're just being, if we're being honest. And I don't think there's anything wrong with feeling that way. I don't necessarily think that makes us more right than anybody else either. But for me personally, it's like, man, we've got so many cities. We got so many towns. We got so many places that have been logged out or cleaned out and have been used for other things. They're just some places I don't want to see them touched. There's just the great thing about being outdoors is it reminds you of how the earth is, like naturally, like how it was created to be, you know, and so for me, I just don't want to see them logging it. I just want to see them leave it alone.
Yeah,
you know. Does that mean they're wrong for doing it? No, it just means I don't want to see it. But I think the danger, because there's two sides to everything. I think the danger for a lot of outdoor enthusiasts is we get all hyped up and we throw a fit when things aren't the way we want them, even if it's not wrong.
right.
So I think there's a delicate balance there. But I would dare say you talk to most people who love the outdoors the way we do, and they just don't want it touched. We just kind of want it left alone because we love it that way.
But there's I still feel, you know, I say like don't virtue signal and all this, but I still feel like I am, and I feel like a hypocrite because I can't. It's like the pot calling the kettle black, because here I am advocating for preservation, but at the same time, like we're sitting in a house in an area that's been logged out, and the same wood that is being logged out is what built this house. And then I'm going into the woods and I'm doing backpacking, it's a great activity, but at the same time, you got to take a bunch of stuff with you, and the trail has to be maintained. So you're changing the environment and you're altering it, even if it's as simple as raking debris out of the way or putting in stacks of rocks to prevent erosion so the trail doesn't wash out. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, like there's that guilt thing.
I'm different. I don't deal with that kind of guilt.
Yeah.
Because you know what? I didn't do most of that stuff.
You know, but you're still using it.
Exactly. But I think, but here's the thing. I can't feel guilty for something that happened 800 years ago.
I know, but we're advocating for the maintaining of
what we have left that wasn't touched.
No, but even the trails, like new trails, like say that I want to reroute. Sheltowee has how many miles of road walking?
Oh, way too many.
Yeah. Well, give me a number. Give me any estimate. 100,
40
50?
miles.
Okay, so let's say 40 miles, and we don't want to road walk that 40 miles,
right,
even if it was 1 mile.
Right.
So we say, hey, let's move that into the woods. Now, all of a sudden, that's not a trail.
But here's the thing. They're not making new trails. They're connecting to existing trails.
I know, but we can't live our life just saying we have no new trails now for the rest of eternity.
But most of the trails that we already have are taking up a lot of our world. There's not a lot of new trails being made, actually. A lot of trails are being connected with other ones. Even the Appalachian Trail connects up with other trails all along the way.
Yeah, I know. But my point is like it's hard for me to not feel guilty if I'm advocating for keeping things the same, but also at the same time changing the environment. Like, how do you deal with that?
How badly are we changing the environment by putting a trail in?
I don't think it's a measure of how much. It's that you're doing it, period.
Yeah.
I don't know. How do you sleep at night, John Kelly?
I have no problem with it personally because I think if there are no trails, people don't go out and they don't enjoy the outdoors. And so then the outdoors is just the outdoors. It's just random stuff sitting around. And some people, maybe they like it that way and they think that, but I really do want to get out and enjoy the outdoors.
Yeah.
And so without the trails, guess what doesn't happen? And then why would the government put money into something that nobody cares about because they don't go into it anyways. Without the trails, we can't protect the land. Without the trails, people aren't going to go out. And so if people aren't going to go out, then why would they protect something people don't care about? Yeah. And so I think the trails are actually a necessity for people to want land saved.
Yeah, I could see that point. At the same time, though, I don't want to have a limited worldview on it because I know...
Limit it, man.
Limit it. Shrink it. Just
Shrink
Daniel Boone National Forest,
Go
nothing
as
else.
small as you can.
You know, if you look at the big picture, like the wilderness in Colorado was completely different than the wilderness here versus in Utah. Like if we're meeting up with Devin and you're hiking through a desert,
right?
Like the trail in Colorado at some points, like there is no trail. Like you look at the rock cairns and, you know, people here will get pissed off about rock cairns. They're like, you're destroying the micro ecosystem. You're messing up, blah, blah, blah. And if that's their point of view, that's fine. But in some places, cairns are a necessity. Like you go through a boulder field, there's literally no trail.
Yeah. Can I ask a question for those people that freak out about rock cairns?
Oh God, don't email me. Email John.
What do they do with animals that move rocks around? I mean, so are the animals now destroying the environment?
Well,
like, are they destroying? That's what I'm saying, though. Like, I think there comes a point where you can just take it too far, and I think it's like with anything, man. Like, I have friends that are vegans and they're awesome, and I know other vegans. I don't ever want to talk to them because all they want to talk about is the fact that they're vegans. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
people,
I get it.
People sometimes can take something that's not a big deal, and I can make anything a big deal if I want to.
Yeah.
I could tell you right now by wearing that Star Wars thing right now that you are supporting Disney and everything they've done to ruin the Star Wars saga over the last 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
And talk to you about the fact that Disney is destroying everything in America right now. And I could go down this whole list. I don't believe any of that, mind you. If you're watching this, I love Star Wars and I love Disney, but do you get what I'm saying? Like, we can take it too far. And I think that's the danger. That's the slippery slope. It's not at what point are we becoming negative towards the land as much as it is what's actually negative to the land.
Yeah. And, you know, here's the problem with humans, right? This is hard to articulate, but I'll do my best.
You got it, bro. You're smart.
We, as humans, what we want is simple answers to complex questions, and we want to know where the boundary is so that we can be comfortable living inside that boundary. And then you have some people who, like, they're thinking outside the box, and that's good. It expands the boundaries, but it's always a moving target.
Yeah.
And as time progresses, you know, the line is going to move. And sometimes something you've done in the past was okay and you had a rationale. All of a sudden, 20 years from now, you know, all of a sudden that line has moved left or right or forward
the Washington
or backward.
Redskins.
Yeah, the Redskins.
The Washington Redskins. That's the best example of that.
Yeah, and, you know, in history, nobody had a problem with it. And then now, you know, it's 2020 and they've went through a review and they're changing their logo and they're changing their name.
Yeah, well, when they initially named them the Redskins, a lot of people don't know this, but there was an Indian chief who was excited because they were going to be represented in an American sport.
And talk about a severely underrepresented, land mismanaged for the people.
Yeah, they were excited that there was a team that was going to be named representing them.
Yeah.
Fast forward 50, 60, 70 years, and that name might as well be the N-word for the Native Americans.
Yeah, it's changed so much.
It's a change in the vernacular of what people say. And so because of that, it's time for them to change the name of the team.
And there's nothing wrong with trying to hit a new target. I mean, you still have to, you know, obviously remember history and you know, and understand, but it's the same thing for us as humans as the big picture. Like, since we want those simple answers, what we do is we get to a position where we're like, okay, here's the line, don't let me cross it. You know, I need to live in this space. And sometimes that's a tool, but at other times you make this slippery slope where you're like, oh, how far do I take this? Since like you said with the Star Wars, you know, Disney could be a monster. You know, you could talk about people's lives that Disney has ruined, or you could talk about the human trafficking that happens at Disney since there's so many kids. Like, there's so many terrible things, At the same time, you know, Disney's not a person that's evil.
Well, I think a lot of it, and I blame social media for a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I feel like we have more people who are looking for a cause because they feel like if they don't have a cause, there's something wrong with them.
Well, humans need a cause, though.
Yeah, but it seems like it's in the last 10 years, it's way further than it's ever been. And I know for a fact when I was younger, one of the things that I was dealing with was trying to figure out who I am and what I want to be. And I don't remember myself ever thinking, I want to get into some kind of a charity organization, or I wanted to do something that's all about helping other people in another country. I just wanted to find meaning and purpose for myself.
Yeah.
But now, when someone's birthday comes up on Facebook, what's the first thing they do?
What do they do?
I want everybody to give money towards this cause that I have.
Oh, yeah, they do. That's a built-in feature for Facebook.
It's a built-in feature now for Facebook, and everybody does it. You know how much money people make off of those now?
I have no idea. I've never tried it.
Next to nothing, because everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
And so what's happened is everybody's cause is the most important cause to them.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is the most important cause for you may not be the most important cause for me or for that person over there. And so what ends up happening is everybody has a cause, so nothing happens for most causes. And we have to be careful how far we take these causes sometimes. I think we need to take things and strip away all the craziness and get to the base level. I mean, you look at racism right now in America.
Mm-hmm.
It's a base level thing. If all you do is talk about cop violence, you're missing it.
Yeah.
If all you talk about is the systematic racism, that doesn't hit it either.
Mm-hmm.
What it comes down to is what's happening in the home.
Yeah.
Everything comes back to the home. And if racism is being taught in the home, racism will always exist. And so everything has to be brought down to a base level. It has to be brought down to its roots. You don't want to put a Band-Aid on a sliced artery. You know, that's not going to fix it. It's still going to bleed. You're not going to see it, but it's dying inside. And I think a lot of people with their causes, they get caught up in all the little minute things, but they don't look at the base important thing, which was kind of what I was getting at earlier with the whole Karen thing.
Yeah.
That's in the grand scheme of things, that's really doing nothing. Okay,
Right.
Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
And if there's somebody out there you're getting mad at me right now, it's okay. I got thick skin. I've had people mad at me my whole life, but the truth is, it's really not doing anything. But when you start taking these big sections of public land where people are able to go out and be in nature, where people can go hunting, because it's a very natural thing. That's how the deer population is controlled, is through hunting.
Mm-hmm.
And there's certain years you're not allowed to hunt as much, and there's certain years they want you to hunt more. The reason why is because we want the ebb and flow of that population to be healthy.
Sure.
Too overpopulated, you're going to have people having car accidents because of deer running in the road. You're going to see trees getting destroyed because of all the deer messing up the trees and eating everything. And so you've got to have control.
Right.
And so with the outdoors, we need to look at it as, what do we need to preserve? That's the main thing here, is like, what do we need to preserve so that there is an outdoor space for people?
Well, it's so hard. It's so hard, not just for like people. I mean, for me, like, there's nothing special about me. It's not like I have some grand perspective. We're just sitting here talking.
I think your perspectives are always grand.
Well, thank you. I'll sleep good tonight.
I think you have grand perspectives.
But my point is people die at such a short window. You know, you don't know if you're born, you don't know if you're going to die 1 millisecond into your life or 120 years into your life at this point. Like, you have no idea, and there's so much chance. It's so hard to get me or anybody just with the human psyche to buy into something that's so long term, because something we have to understand is, you know, we have one Earth, and we're working on expanding to other planets at this point, and that's awesome too, but we have one Earth, and it's going to be here for a long time, and it's all a matter of how's it going to look, what resources are you going to have, and that turns into, well, I don't want to be selfish, and at the same time, I want to live my life and have a good life. So, how do I go with this? You know, I'm only going to be here for a short amount of time, and we don't even think about, hey, if my life's 100 years and the Earth is going to be here in 1,000 years, like, how big is my part, right? So
Right.
it's hard to buy into that collective whole when the span of time is so short in relation to the universe.
Well, and to get straight to it, I mean, I don't want this to be a huge downer of a podcast,
Yeah.
because this is heavy stuff, because it's something we care about.
Yeah.
I would say we both care about this greatly. What it comes right down to is you should enjoy the life you're living.
Yeah.
You should enjoy the life you're living. And if there are things in your life that you love and you're passionate about, you should chase after those loves and those passions. And if you're passionate about public lands, for instance, which is what we're talking about today,
Sure.
what are you doing to make that better so that your enjoyment of public lands is even more? Because I will tell you this, giving money to the Sheltowee Trace Association makes me want to hike the trail more, because now I feel like I'm a part of it.
Yeah.
It matters more to me because I'm part of the organization that is keeping that up. And I'm putting money in that's being used to keep the trail nice and to keep the surrounding area nice. And I think a lot of people want to complain and say, well, this isn't happening, this isn't happening. But my question always is, what are you doing to make it better?
Sure.
And so I think we would both agree the best thing any of us can do is, if we're passionate about this stuff, is to put our money where our mouths are and say, if you believe that public lands should be taken care of, if you believe that this stuff should be made public so that we can use it, then what are you doing to be a part of it?
Yeah.
Are you going out with crews that are, like you said, picking up trash? Are you going out with some of the? I know with the Sheltowee Trace Association, they have groups that go out with weed eaters and with poison ivy spray and stuff like that, and they're cleaning the trail up for people. There's so much that you can do to be a part of the solution of making public lands better, and it's great to talk about it, but what's actually being done? Because I'm an action guy. I like talking a lot, but I also like doing things, you know? I'm very passionate about the world water crisis. I believe it's saddening to me that there are thousands of children dying every single year from diarrhea because they just don't have clean water. You know, I mean, that kind of stuff kills me. And so when I hiked Kilimanjaro, I raised $9,000 to build wells. You know, that was a passionate thing for me. I raised about $1,500 more when I did the Sheltowee Trace to go towards that. Because I'm passionate about that and I want to see those things taken care of. And if you're passionate about a cause, if you're passionate about something you believe in, what are you doing to make it better?
Yeah.
And I think that's the real key for today. Whatever that cause is, like we talked about earlier, we've got the whole thing with the Washington Redskins. If you're passionate about people treating Native Americans better, what are you doing to help with that? If you're passionate about fighting racism, what are you doing to take care of that? You know, what are you doing with the passion that's instilled inside of you to make it better? And I think that's the real kicker for what we all need to be doing, is find that thing we're passionate about and go after it.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's like a gut punch. Like we all need to sit down, and me more than anybody else, sit down and think about what actions are you taking to progress toward the outcome that you want.
Yeah.
And whatever it is.
Yeah, and I've even, I've talked to Steve Barber from the Sheltowee Trace, and if you guys get tired of hearing me talk about the Sheltowee Trace, sorry, I absolutely love that trail. But I talked to Steve Barber, the director, and one of the things that I'm working on right now is doing some merchandise stuff for my YouTube channel, and 10% of every purchase is going to go to the Sheltowee Trace.
Sure.
So, that's something I'm personally going to do. Now, that's not 10% of what I make, which is like half of what actually gets. I'm saying 10% of the cost. So if you spend $15 on something, then $1.50 is going to go to the Sheltowee Trace.
Yeah.
I even worked it in with him where for some of my T-shirts, they're actually going to have the Sheltowee Trace logo on them, because I want to do something to give back.
Yeah.
And anything you can do like that is going to be helpful, and it's going to be, people are going to be very thankful for it. So
I think so too. They might not even know, like, that you're committing to the cause, but you giving back is giving them a better experience in the backcountry.
Yeah. Well, and for the people doing these trail associations, you were talking about being underfunded, and you're talking about being underappreciated. Man, people who work for trail associations are way underfunded, and they are way underappreciated.
Yeah, a lot are just volunteer. When we say underfunded, We mean no funded.
I was gonna say I don't know. I could be wrong. I don't know anybody personally who works for a trail association that's actually paid.
Yeah. It's your passion.
Yeah, it's what you care about. And so these people are volunteers who just love the trail and they want to see it taken care of. That was one of the things about Darwin's thing that was so awesome, was seeing the guy who built the cast iron gates.
Oh, I love that. He put the on every gate. He welded the logo.
Yeah. He almost got teary-eyed talking about, he got teary-eyed talking about it, and he was so excited. And he did that for free.
Yeah. It's just one thing that he had in his tool, like his metaphorical tool set.
Yeah.
That he could do to help. And it branded it.
Yeah, which is incredible. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible. And so if you're listening today, literally there's so much you can do for your trails and your trail associations that you may not even realize that you've been able to do the whole time.
Yeah.
So I know my buddy, the Flash, Brian Carpenter.
Mm-hmm.
He's making trail signs.
I love that.
Just for people to buy, but he's also had trails talk to him about potentially making the trails for those, or making the signs for those trails.
Oh, like the physical, like, hey, I'm in the Smokies.
Yeah, like
the sign says go this way or this way.
This sign's falling apart. We need a new one.
Yeah.
Brian may be the guy that starts doing those trail signs.
Just a little thing.
Yeah.
But it means so much. Think about how many people's lives without that, how many people would have taken the wrong turn. I've been there. I've been there so many times.
Wait, you've been lost on a trail?
Never in my life. It's never happened before.
I honestly think that Jeremiah has been lost in more videos than maybe Dan Becker. I could be wrong about that. I mean, I've been wrong before, but I could be wrong on that. But you might have been lost more often than Dan Becker.
That's a hard metric to analyze. I don't know. Dan, he's directionally challenged.
Yes, but he's going to be on the podcast soon. We're working. I've been chatting with him this week, and now for those of you guys who want to know, Dan is a good friend of both of ours, and
Dan Becker,
good dude, real good dude. We both had the chance to go backpacking with him. Great guy, a lot of fun, but he is directionally challenged, and he will admit that. He admits that in his videos.
Yeah, we need to work on his compass and map skills.
Yeah,
that's what I need to do. That's my little part.
Ooh, you're gonna mentor Dan.
Well, it worked out good last time for him.
That's true. That's true. So, well, man, this has been almost an hour long.
Yeah, man.
This was a good topic, and if this is your first time ever listening to our podcast, it's usually not this heavy.
No, it's not. Normally, it's lighthearted and it's fun. I've still had fun.
I still fun.
It's an important message.
Yeah.
For people to get, and for me to self-reflect. It's just important for me to think about these things as to come on here and talk about it to somebody who may or may not be listening.
Yeah, and I think my biggest thing is, if there was anything to get from this, is don't be a Karen. Okay.
No, Karen.
You know what I'm saying? It's one thing to open your mouth and yell at everybody for doing something wrong, but what are you doing? Instead of focusing on what other people aren't doing, it's really important that we focus on ourselves and what we can do, and we do that.
Yeah.
I think this world would be a whole lot better place if people would quit focusing on everybody else and just focus on yourself and make yourself better.
Yeah, take some time to reflect. And I mean, I had to do that too. Take some time to reflect and think about, what can I do to make it better?
Yeah.
And if your name's Karen, don't change your name. Just write it out. I feel so bad for people who are actually named Karen. I know a lot of Karens. And it's not because they're the mean Karen. Their mom or dad named them Karen, and I'm sorry.
Okay, great.
Dude, do you not feel bad for them?
Yeah, but they're my friends, and so it gives me a chance to pick on them a little bit. So
yeah, bust them up.
Yeah, we just have some fun with it. But
that's okay.
Good. That's all good. But hey, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Be ready next week for another fresh new episode where I promise it will not be anywhere near that serious, but just as unscripted. This has been the Backpacking Podcast for myself and my cohort, Jeremiah. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next go-around.
Adios, folks.